Nazira binti Abdul Aziz, and my metro number is 289479. I will explain about the Leong trading background. So, Leong trading background is an oil and gas industry which provides transportation services and petroleum product, and also well-known company because it is one of Singapore's largest products and also Greece. Leong trading also serves customers globally and was registered in 1963 by Lim Ukwin, which is the founder for the company and headquartered in Singapore. He also planning to build Singapore's fourth oil refinery in December 2010 by the Leong, and plans to file for an initial public offering, which is IPO, but eliminated those plans by the end of the same year in 2014. While in April 2020, Leong filed for bankruptcy protection. Leong combined with other three companies, which is Ocean Tankers Pte Ltd, Universal Group Holdings, which is UGH, and also Shahid Investment Pte Ltd. Leong trading was shared with his family itself, which already stated that the percentage of the share profit being contributed to the company. Percentage of share profit in Leong trading that being shared with his family, with the first is Lim Ukwin itself owned to 75%, and 15.4% owned by Lim Chi-man, which is his son, and the last is 9.6% was possessed by his daughter, which is Lim Hui-jing. Next, Lim Ukwin's expectation. He believed that oil price will increase and may recover the request for oil, and expected Chinese government would effectively make the quintessential Leong play. Loan repayments amounting to billions of dollars would become a pressure to the company to pay back, as the company facing financial difficulties on that time. Unable to generate enough funds to repay its loan, court ordered Leong trading be placed under judicial administration in April 2020 after banks requested for repayments of loans. The other reason is Lim would retire immediately from his position as director, which is not well explained over what period of time the losses have been suffered.
I would like to talk about financial scandal. So, what is financial scandal? Basically, financial scandal, or known as an accounting scandal, is a situation where the financial statement of a company are manipulated intentionally. The actual amount of transaction occurs is simply being manipulated to hide the scandal. It is deceptive to investor or shareholder because it is involves an employee, an account, or the company itself. So, what actually happened in Leong trading? Did this accounting scandal exist? Yes, absolutely. For your information, on June 24, Singapore's public prosecutor filed an additional 105 charges against Lim Ukwin, the founder of collapsed oil trading firm Leong Trading, relating to $2.23 billion in fraudulent disbursement. Next, the company owns 23 lenders, the largest of which was HSBC, which owned its $600 million, despite reporting a net income of $18 million for 2019 fiscal year. Their own bank $100 million each. Lastly, a Singapore court have approved a freeze on up to $3.5 billion in Lim family asset, improving the chances of debt collection. The Lim family oil trading empire has some of the world's largest bank as creditor. So in the conclusion, financial scandal should be avoided as it gives impact to the performance of the company. Even more can lead to dissolution of a company due to bankruptcy. Being quiet and keep it as nothing is not the right thing to do, especially those who are not guilty. So, did mention event previously affect the auditor? Sure. So, our next presenter would explain in detail about it.
Assalamualaikum and a warm greetings to Dr. Hadafi. I am Nur Fatima with metric number of 289530. So today I'll be presenting regarding the financial scandal effect to the auditor. So the first effect that we have discovered is Deloitte has been sued for breaching the terms of its engagement with the plaintiff. So breach of terms basically will happen when an auditor fails to perform the contractual duties. So in this case, Deloitte, who is the auditor of Leong, failed to detect irregularities and material misstatement in the financial statement of Leong. According to the lawsuit, Deloitte has been auditing the Leong accounts for more than 16 years, and Deloitte has been producing an unqualified opinion report for each fiscal year. where the owner of Hin Leong, who is Mr. Lim On Queen, admitted that Deloitte has been facing bankruptcy since 2012 and an amount of losses of 808 million has not been reflected in Hin Leong's financial statement. In another hand, Hin Leong maintained a very steady flow of liquidity by obtaining financing from bank through schemes such as sale and repurchase of cargo at losses, falsified documents, non-existent inventories and inventories which is sold for several times. So in 2020, this oil trading company begins to disintegrate due to incorrect energy wages, which eventually lead to the largest failure in Asia's history. So as a result of trading losses, more than 20 financial institutions requested for repayment of loan. According to the lawsuit, Hin Leong alleged that Deloitte made a serious misstatement in the plaintiff audited financial statement in which it misled banks and financial institutions in the plaintiff financial health. As a result, Deloitte has been sued for the breach of contract in which it failed to make a reasonable check on the details of the document. The next effect to the auditor will be Deloitte agreed to pay Malaysia 80 million in settlement over its audit of the state-owned 1MDB fund. The lawsuit towards Deloitte added to the string of misfortunes as a result of the accounting standard over the global accounting firm. Deloitte agreed to pay Malaysia 80 million in settlement over the audit firm of the state-owned 1MDB fund. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Good day, doctor. My name is Adeline with metric number 286476. Next, I would like to continue with the effect of financial scandal toward auditors. The third effect is the reputation of Deloitte as auditor firm of Hin Leong Trading has been affected. Deloitte is a leading global provider of auditing and assurance, consulting and other related services. Deloitte is one of the big firms that has a reputation for being meritocracy and professionalism. But unfortunately, Deloitte as an external auditor of Hin Leong Trading has made the failures and go against the principle of auditors. Firstly, the Deloitte auditor has go against the principle of integrity. Integrity means if something suspicious in financial statement, the auditor needs to find the evidence rather than do nothing. In fact, the Deloitte auditors had not even acknowledged the firm about the material misstatement. Secondly, is the principle of objectivity. Objectivity means reject any bias or conflict of interest to override the professional judgment. In fact, the Deloitte auditor has led the financial statement of Hin Leong Trading to single. They have led the banks or financial institutions that rely on this audited financial statement to be deceased as they continue to provide funds to the firm. Although the firm does not have the healthy status. Thirdly is the principle of professionalism, competence and due care. This principle requires auditors to maintain a high level of knowledge to ensure the client receive a professional service. The Deloitte auditors have made the failures and does not recover the material misstatement and also the civil anomaly in Hin Leong Trading. Deloitte auditor also did not qualify. Deloitte auditor also does not issue qualified opinion on the financial statement of Hin Leong Trading. These all violations have affected the auditor, the reputation of Deloitte. The general public and the other business have doubt the quality of audit work they provide to them by the audit. Another effect is Deloitte has lost their client with Hin Leong Trading. Deloitte has been responsible for auditing the accounting book of Hin Leong Trading for more than a decade before the firm announced the bankruptcy in 2020. But But due to the negligence of Deloitte auditors that caused huge damage to the fund, the Leong Trading had lost trust on Deloitte auditors. So, the Leong Trading had appointed the new auditor firm, which is PwC, instead of Deloitte. Gold Champion and Chan Godet, both from PwC, had served as interim judicial manager for Leong Trading. The PwC manager had appointed to manage and run the affair of Leong Trading. The interim judicial manager had to provide the preliminary report that contained an evaluation of whether the commodity trader can be reorganized or rehabilitated. That's all for me. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Coin Matrix number 276966, and now I will continue to present the role of auditor. The main role of auditor is to review, inspect, and verify the accuracy of business records and express an opinion on the financial statements' truth and fairness. The goal is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material errors and prepared according to the financial reporting framework. The audited financial statement is used to assist the stakeholders such as creditors and shareholders in making decisions. In the Leong Trading case, HRT has sued their audit partner as the audited financial statement has found material misstatement and the auditor gave unqualified opinions to the financial statements since 2014. This had led to the users of audited financial statements, which are the banks and financial institutions, to lend a huge amount of financing to the company, as these statements misled about the financial health and state of affairs of the company. However, it is the responsibility of company's management committee to prepare and present the fair financial statements and pay attention to the financial statements at all times. The responsibility of auditor is to provide independence and professional opinions on the financial statements. But the auditors couldn't obtain and evaluate the evidence of assertions if management intentionally committed fraud. Therefore, the Deloitte spokesman has clarified that they have performed with the highest standards of audit and compliance with the information available to them at that time. In fact, the auditors are not liable to the fraud involved actions taken by the senior officers on behalf of the company to benefit the company. The second role of the auditor is to ensure that the interests of stakeholders are well protected and that the company's management has acted reasonably. The audited financial statements are important as it will increase the credibility of the financial statements of the company and affect the decision-making of users. In this case, the creditors, which are global banks, financed HLT around $3.5 billion. With the review and opinion of the auditor, global banks finance the company with less consideration as they believe that HLT has the ability to pay back. In addition, the auditors should evaluate the management integrity and exercise more care to avoid any fraud made by management and lead to material misstatement. In this case, Deloitte was the audit partner of HLT for 16 years. This implies that Deloitte believed in the management integrity of the company as they had cooperated for a long time and no problem occurred during that time. Thus, when the auditor assumes there is less engagement risk in the company, they will put a higher audit risk because they consider the company as a low-risk client after a long period of cooperation. When the incident occurred, it is advised to periodically rotate the audit engagement partner. It could minimize the potential liability to the auditors.
My name is Diana Asong with metric number 277154. I continue presenting the next audit role. The responsibility of auditors is to conduct work with ethics because clients pay for the ethics and auditors can charge a high fee. 5 fundamental principles need to be followed by auditors, which are integrity, confidentiality, objectivity, professional competence, and due care and professional behavior. In this case, Deloitte has cooperated with Leong for 16 years. It is possible that the auditor is having a close personal relationship with the CEO of Leong. This situation will lead to lack of independence and reliability of audited financial statements. And furthermore, if the auditors are not following the code of ethics, they might give an unqualified opinion as they are more oriented to their self-interest. Assuming that HLT or Leong is already facing financial problems and did not pay enough audit fees to Deloitte, Deloitte is tempted to issue a favorable report so that the company can obtain a loan to cover the outstanding audit fees. The more an organization grows, the more regulatory and compliance issues it faces. As a result, having a solid fraud protection system is essential for the organization. Internal auditors can look into thoroughness and adequacy of risk identified by management, especially management override risk. In this case, since the member of the sole directors is the Lim family itself, there is no division between the board of directors and management, both of which are actively engaged in the management of the organization. This signifies that there are no independent directors on the board of directors. Further to that, no internal audit department exists within the Leong group of companies, and also because they are private organizations, the Leong group is not subject to corporate governance duties under listing regulations or corporate governance guidelines, notwithstanding their size.
Furthermore, auditors need to monitor compliance with industry standard, law and guidelines. Following the cases, the company has been charged by law with 25 forgery-related charges filed against Lim during year 2020, following 105 new cases in 2021. On the other hand, the Leong group of enterprise does not appear to have an internal audit function. Because the Lim family members are the sole directors on the boards of the group firms and are also heavily active in management, there is no distinction between the board of directors and management. There are no independent directors and no audit committee. When such cases happen, auditor must examine deeper to determine how to address the situation so that it does not occur again in the future. Auditor is also responsible to examine the overall presentation, structure, and content of the group's and company's financial statement, as well as the disclosure to determine if the financial statement of the group and the company accurately reflect the underlying transaction and event. According to report, Leong may have exaggerated its inventory by at least $0.8 billion but include a significant amount of goods that did not belong to the business. Additionally, Leong is accused of obtaining inventory financing by promising cargo it did not possess or that wasn't exist, as well as misrepresenting the amount of cargo it had. All of these activities lead to the company's inventory being much lower than the amount stated in the audited financial statement for the fiscal year ended October 31, 2019.
In conclusion, as a good company, they should keep the senior management team, owner, and the board of directors informed of the progress in the auditing, even it was a challenging. Next, the company may evaluate the important improvement in the company to keep in track in resolving the pending of audit issues. Next, to determine what the needs and action to be taken. The corrective action should be taken to help get to the core of the problem and create a strong strategy for pushing ahead. Thank you.